Secrecy Bill. The day the freedom died.
The issues are serious. The intentions behind the bill are quite good. Every state wants to prevent certain information from getting out there which could damage the state and its population. So that's the intention of this act, to protect information which is sensitive and which could damage us as a country. Well, the outcry is related to the fact that the way it was drafted before, and to a certain extent the way it still is drafted, prevents certain information from being published in certain circumstances.
So the big example that everyone's saying is, if the president had built his 200 million rand house after the Secrecy Bill had been enacted, we wouldn't know about it.
Well, that's probably the best example that we could use. How the bill is currently structured is, it says you will not be prosecuted if you disclose classified information, which has been classified in terms of the Secrecy Bill, in certain circumstances. And the circumstances are set out in the Act. It deals with, for example, the Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act. If you disclose classified information in that instance to reveal corruption, you won't be prosecuted. But to come back to the Nkandla example that you raised, what the concern is that perhaps there hasn't been any criminal activity. Maybe it was just a case of splurging too much money. But because this is a sensitive location dealt with in the National Key Points Act, what was done at the premises is classified. In that instance, there's been no criminal activity. But it is in the public interest to know what amount of money has been spent. And you reveal this. The way the Act is currently drafted is you could be prosecuted under the Secrecy Bill.
Who decides what's classified secret or top secret?
The bill provides for each organization, so a state-owned entity or perhaps a metropolitan council, to have somebody responsible for classifying that information.
Right, so I can appoint Piet Pompies and his job is to classify stuff, and I decide that my department needs a BMW for myself and all my mates, and I say to Piet Pompies, please classify that information. Therefore, I can hide that corruption quite easily by classifying it. Who oversees that?
Well, the Act also is not just very one-sided. Basically, to deal with your question on who classifies it, Piet Pompies would classify it. He would then have to speak to the head of that particular organization and confirm the classification.
Yeah, it would be me.
Yes. And if you, as a member of the public, now want to get access to that, you have the opportunity to approach the head of that organization.
Sorry, classified.
You then have an opportunity to appeal to that person.
Sorry, classified. These BMWs are classified.
You then have options of going to a special committee that's going to be set up under the Secrecy Bill to review classifications as well. Or you can go to court.
So the private citizen could go to court to compel what? Piet Pompies to reveal the basis on which he made the call that these luxury vehicles were then classified?
Well, you could go to court to get the information declassified and made public.
There have been some cases in America where, especially in the military, basically the rules have been set up and the military just says, just trust us, okay? This is in the national security, you have to trust us. I know that the court is asking for information about why this is classified. It's in the national security. We cannot divulge this to the court. Sorry.
It wouldn't be as simple as that. The Act does, or the bill as it currently is, does say that a judge can look into the matter in private, dealing with these representatives who are basically saying that it shouldn't be declassified. And he can do a full assessment of whether the issue is sensitive enough to remain classified or whether it should be declassified. So it's not just a case of just trust us.
So do you have any concerns about this?
I do think that there's merit in the public interest defense. To use the Nkandla example again, there might not have been any wrongdoing. There might have been excess, and the public has a right to know how its money is being spent. So we should permit journalists and the media to report on something like that, if it's in the public interest, not if it's interesting to the public.